Welcome, everyone. Today we are talking all about Blessingway. So if we haven't met yet, I'm Marie and I am all things better pregnancy, better birth. So today what we're talking about is the idea of a Blessingway. This may be something that is really new to you, or you may have just kind of heard whispers of it. But I find that it's not something that's super well known. And it has the potential to truly enhance your pregnancy and knock your birth out of the park. So let's dive in. So what is a Blessingway? A Blessingway is similar to a baby shower in that it's going to happen near the end of your pregnancy, and it's going to be a gathering of all your female tribe. So your friends, your family, all those women in your life that matter to you. That's where the similarities sort of end, though, because a baby shower is really kind of all about the gifts. And not that there's anything wrong with gifts. Gifts are a beautiful way to express love. But what you really need as you're going in towards labor, because labor is a big deal, ladies, like it is. What you want is something that is gonna fill you up, heart and soul, to be something that's deeper and more meaningful than just receiving a baby blanket. And the cool thing is that you can still incorporate gifts inside of a Blessingway. The difference is that they are not the primary focus of the event. So I have literally been to dozens and dozens of Blessingways over the years, and everyone is super unique. But the common thread that you always feel is the love, the amount of love that is shared in our day-to-day life. How often do you really take the time to express to those people in your life who are important to you how much they actually mean to you? You might do this with your partner, but what about one of your good friends or your niece? You know, sometimes those people in our life that are kind of just a little bit further outside our, main circle, we don't actually have that many opportunities. And so what I love to do whenever I'm at a Blessingway is at the very beginning, I love for everyone to just sit together just like you would at a baby shower, and then, introduce yourself, tell how do you know the pregnant mama. And then one thing that you really appreciate and admire about her. Oh my gosh, ladies, as soon as you do this, it is good to have somebody who sort of leads the Blessingway, because obviously as the recipient, you can't really ask for that. But if you are, just plan it with a good friend, and that little thing at the beginning, first of all, it's just it gives all those people who care about you a chance to share how much they care. And suddenly when you're hearing all those kind words, it shifts the energy inside of you. And suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, all these women, they believe in me. And it makes it so much easier to believe in yourself. Because that's one of the things that you're kind of up against, especially as you're getting into that close, as you're starting to get close to labor where, you feel like the rubber's going to really hit the road. And it's like, how do you build that trust, that belief in yourself that you can really do this? And one of the things that I love about Blessingways is that you absorb the trust of all these women around you. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but that's been my experience of it. It's almost like all that trust just kind of flows in and fills you up. So that is the beginning of it. The main focus of a Blessingway, though, is actually the blessings. And so a blessing is a wish for you as you step into that new role as a mom and go through that transitional experience, which is birth. And so each person is invited to come to the Blessingway with a blessing. So that can be a blessing for you. It can be a blessing for baby. And then generally, as we go around the circle, each person shares their blessing. This is where it can be super unique. I've been to Blessingways where the pregnant mama, she was a piano teacher, and literally every second person at that Blessingway pulled up their guitar and was like, I wrote you a song. It was the most musical Blessingway I have ever been at. But that was because it really reflected the people that were in her circle, because she was a musician, her husband was a musician, most of their circle of people in their lives, she came from an extremely musical family. So at that Blessingway, we like sang chants and songs. It was like a very musical affair. But that is because it was a reflection of her. So other Blessingways I've been to have been totally different. And that's okay. That's what's lovely about it, because it will be a reflection. So if you are part of a like faith-based community, you're going to notice that like the blessings that people bring are going to largely be prayers. If you're an atheist, people will still bring you beautiful thoughts, but there may not actually be prayers. They might be more like meditations. And so that's why I think that this is so lovely, because it's so inclusive. You can make it your own ceremony, the type of thing that would really fill you up. So that's the second part. That's the main part of the blessing. So everyone reads their blessings. And a lot of times I'll ask people to bring it written down. For those people who are a little nervous sharing in public and they're a little more perhaps on the reserved side, having it written down means that they can just easily read it too if they're not feeling super comfortable speaking, in a small group. So that makes it nice too. Plus, then you have a collection of all those beautiful words written down and that you can keep, which is like so awesome. The third part, so I kind of told you the main things that you need. So the very beginning, we have the introductions. People share something they love about you. That's like the feel-good moment. Then there's the blessings. That's the next part. Then we come to some sort of physical representation. This is something that is physical, that's tangible, that is symbolic of all this love and support that then you can take into labor with you. There's dozens of ways to do this, but I will share some of the ones that I've seen over the years, over the many, many Blessingways that I've been to. So one Blessingway, one of her friends prepared little prayer flags, and all they were just little pieces of material, little squares that she had strung together on a string. And then at the Blessingway, we were all asked to take a marker and just write a word or a symbol on that prayer flag. And then when she got to the hospital, she hung that up, and every time she looked at it, it helped her remember. Another Blessingway I was at, she asked everyone to bring a card. And when she got to the hospital, on the windowsill, she put out all the cards that everyone had brought her. And she said just looking at those cards made her feel so loved. Another Blessingway I was at, she asked everyone to bring a feather. And we made those feathers into a dream catcher. She brought that dream catcher to the hospital. She also hung it in her baby's bedroom afterwards. So that was another beautiful one. Another one I went to, she asked everyone to bring a bead. This is actually a super common one because it's kind of easy. Everyone brought a bead. We strung those beads together, and she used it as a fidget in labor. So it was something that she physically held onto. And as she held onto that string with all those beads, it helped her again tie into that feeling of support. Candles are another nice one. Had another one who asked everyone to bring her a candle. When she went into labor, she labored for the first few hours at home. She lit all of her candles, and she also sent out a message to everyone who had brought a candle and said, the candle is being lit, meaning I am going into labor. Keep me in your thoughts and in your heart for the next few hours. So like I said, there's lots of ways to make this truly unique, but it is nice to have some sort of physical tie that will help you remember all of the support. And then at the end is usually the visiting, the gift opening, the feast. I always like to have food. And so that's kind of where gifts fit in. And sometimes when we do gifts for Blessingways, they focus a little bit more on something for mom rather than just being something for baby. So maybe we give her a postpartum package where we have, like socks and all the ingredients to make padsicles and, some of those warm teas that are good for supporting that lactation, those kinds of things. Or Another really beautiful gift that I've seen women do for each other at Blessingways is to do a meal prep, so that every second day some member of her tribe, female tribe, comes to her door and just drops off a meal that's done, so that every second day she knows she doesn't have to worry about it right after baby comes. So that is a like level gift. Okay, it's like the best ever. And so that's where kind of gifts fit in. And the magical thing about Blessingways is that they transform your energy. You know, when we talk about preparing for birth, a lot of times it focuses on preparing, you know, from a physical point of view or intellectual point of view. And for me, one of the things that I think that's a fantastic about Blessingways is they prepare your heart and your spirit. They really shift the energy inside of you. And man, ladies, if you shift the energy, that's the basis. All the rest is going to flow from that. So there's nothing more powerful than you can do than to shift the energy. And now, of course, that's all the stuff that I teach, right? Because I'm not about just teaching you the signs and stages of labor. You can get that anywhere. I want to help you transform your life with a very powerful, positive birth experience. So if that sounds like something that you'd like, you're like, yeah, I'd like that kind of birth experience, Marie, just check underneath this. I'm going to put a link to a live training that I have. I'm also going to put a link to jump on a call with me to see if we might be a good fit to work together. Okay. Now, also wanted to talk about the pandemic because we're still in it. I know it feels like never ending. I had this whole discussion with my dental hygienist this morning as we're all like masked up and we're like, is this ever ending? So how do you do this in the midst of a pandemic? So there are some options. You can do it over Zoom and you can also do it just written. So rather than all the women gathering together, obviously there's power in coming together. So a Zoom would be better than just written, and an in-person would be better. You know, if you can do this outside, now that, you know, we're moving into spring, summer, you might be able to separate people outside and do this safely. I know restrictions are really different depending on where you live. Some areas are super locked down still, others are totally open. So you may need to adapt it, and the circumstances could change, right? You plan it for, you know, a month from now and circumstances could be different. So look at doing some version of a virtual one where people can see each other. That would be the next level powerful. And if that's not available, still do it. Just ask people to write in and send in their blessings and send in their bead or their feather, their, you know, whatever it is that you've chosen as that physical representation. Send that in as well, because all of that combined is still going to help to shift that energy for you. So I'd love to know if you've had a Blessingway. Please share down below, because sometimes people don't quite believe how awesome they are unless they've been to one. I always get the grandmas and the aunties who've never been to it, because it is a little bit more on the, like, my husband would say hippy dippy side of life. But I'm okay with it because, like I said, it fills you up and it makes it worth it, even if it's a little strange. So I know a lot of times when I've hosted them, you know, I've got these grandmas and aunties who never experienced something like this. And, you know, maybe at the beginning are kind of like, oh, what's this going to be? This is a little different. Universally, they all come see me at the end of the Blessingways like, oh my goodness, that was so good. Oh my goodness, I loved it so much. Oh, she's like, everyone comes up and tells me, oh my God, I felt so good. And that's the thing that I love about it. It is a feel-good experience for everyone involved, as much for you as that expectant mom, but also for your circle. It really, it's like that idea that when the water rises, all boats rise. Everybody feels so much better. And so, not only is it a gift to you, I think it's actually a really beautiful gift to your tribe of women. And they just get to, you know, be involved. I know one of the things that's hard about the pandemic that a lot of women that I work with have shared is that they kind of feel like they're going through their pregnancy alone because they haven't been able to share it in the way that they normally would have shared this experience. So if you feel like this, consider a blessing way, because it is a really meaningful way to bring in that tribe of women that care about you and to allow them to shower you with love and with support and get to be a part of this amazing transformation and journey that you are on. So hope that was helpful. Love doing these Transformation Tuesdays with all of you. Thanks for joining in. I will see you next week. Bye for now.